1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Hey, fans, we had somebody try to log into the show just a minute ago. If that was you, log right back on in. We have everything ready and up and running and ready to go tonight. So as you can see, I am solo. I don't like being solo. I want to bring in as many guests as I possibly can tonight, and I want to talk to you. I want this show to be all about you and what you want to talk about with Dodgers baseball. We do have quite a bit to talk about. It's not quite as exciting or as hectic as it was last week. I know Tyler Glasnow was told by the Dodgers that he is staying. So let's start with the Tarek Skubal talk and where we're at there. And here's a couple of things. And one of the things that Steven Nelson mentioned on our interview whenever I talked to him a couple of months ago, that actually at the trade deadline when I talked to Steven, is that one of the things that makes the Dodgers a great organization is the restraint that they show. So what I would say about let me see if I can actually get the chat here I don't think I have a chat up for my TikTok right now. So sorry on the TikTok side. But as he said, one of the things that makes the Dodgers great is that they do have restraint. So, yes, they are very aggressive. Yes, they will go get the Ohtanis. Yes, they'll get the Edwin Diazes. Yes. And one of the reasons why I was so confident they were going to get Edwin Diaz and why I was so adamant about it was the fact that they needed him. He was a big-time need. I mean, the Dodgers needed a surefire, get the last three outs type of closer. Hey, I've been one who has been a advocate for, okay, well, the biggest three outs don't have to necessarily be the last three outs, but there's just so much indecision to that, and there's so much uncertainty to it. And with a team that's as loaded as the Dodgers let me put you this way. The Dodgers are all in. Here's another reason why I was very confident that the Dodgers were going to get Edwin Diaz. The Dodgers are all in. Shohei Ohtani forced the Dodgers to be all in. You can't steal from him at this point. And I say steal, that's too dramatic of a term. But with what he did for the contract, he made it very clear to the Dodgers that not only does he hope that they use the extra flexibility to put the championship dynasty caliber team around him, he expected it. So at that point, if Shohei Ohtani does that for you and you sit on a gold mine like an Edwin Diaz or a Yoshinobu Yamamoto, or a Roki Sasaki, or a Tyler Glasnow, or a Blake Snell, you're not doing right by him. Shohei Ohtani, a young man who has created, and not a whirlwind of money, but an entire economy for you. He's created a world economy for you. He's created a domestic economy, likely like baseball's never seen. So you owe it to him to be all in. That was one of the biggest reasons why I thought the Dodgers would be all in for Edwin Diaz, because it goes back to the conversation that we always talk about. And here, I'm going to put the link in right here. There's the link. That's not working tonight. That isn't. So let me do it from this way here and see if I can, I don't know if I can't do it there. So let me try to copy it from here and redo it and then repost it there. There's the link to the show. Come on in. So that doesn't mean, though, that the Dodgers need to go out and get every single free agent. And so, they don't need to go get the Juan Sotos or even the Kyle Tuckers. And that brings us to the Tarek Skubals. So what's the difference between an Edwin Diaz, a Kyle Tucker, a Tarek Skubal? Well, the big difference is with Edwin Diaz is he was a need, in my opinion. He was a need. The Dodgers needed a high leverage closer. Now, you might argue that Tanner Scott is that guy, and you think Tanner Scott will be that guy this year. Fine, but you don't have any proof for me, okay? I know what Edwin Diaz did last year. I know what he's been. And so at this point, now it may not work out that way because, as we all know, the reliever market is very volatile. So, heck, who knows? Tanner Scott could be better than Edwin Diaz when in the next year, right? That could happen. There's no doubt about that. It's baseball. It's relievers. It's volatility. But having said that, he was a need. The Dodgers needed a surefire, hey, take the decision, the stress, not even the decision. That's too much of an insult to Dave to say that he's not capable of making the correct decisions there. But take the stress away from Dave. Give him defined roles. Let the other team. Here's another deal. It's about intimidation too, right? One thing that the Yankees had with Mariano Rivera, right, and before that John Wetland, is that the other team knew if we get to the 8th inning or definitely the 9th inning, it's over. This game is over. So it forces you to manage differently. It forces you to be a little bit more helter-skelter. It forces you to play a little faster than maybe you want. And point blank, knowing that there is a Mariano Rivera at the end of a game, every game for the Yankees, the last time a team went back-to-back, there is an intimidation factor to that. So one part of, hey, maybe the biggest 3 outs aren't always the last 3 outs. That's not necessarily a wrong mentality or a wrong strategy, or there's nothing wrong about that to say. Matter of fact, there's many different times where that probably is more accurate than not, okay? But I will say the intimidation factor, if Edwin Diaz pitches like he always has, and Timmy Trumpets is playing the trumpet, and the Dodgers have this dynasty caliber roster that's rocking and rolling, the intimidation factor of knowing that he is coming out of the 9th inning will be real. The Dodgers will be able to have an intimidating presence to, well, it's over if we get to the 9th inning. They're going to start playing the trumpets, and it is curtains for today, right? So I just think the fact that, not just the fact that you went and got a closer, which is an area that almost lost you, well, the last 3 World Series you've won, okay? You had to close with 3 different starters, Julio Urias, you had Walker Buehler, and then last year Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So it's definitely an area that you needed somebody in that spot. You thought it was going to be Tanner Scott. But then again, just the everydayness of the other team knowing we're done if we get to the 9th inning. And then if Tanner Scott can get back, you can make him the 8th inning guy. And if he's as dominant as he was 2 years ago, now the other teams are playing a high school game. And what I mean when I say they're playing a high school game is that you have 7 innings. If you don't beat the Dodgers in 7 innings, you're out of luck. End of discussion. So really at that point, you're playing a 7-inning game if you're the Dodgers, and that allows Dave to manage to that 7-inning game, and that allows him to be, hey, do I need to be aggressive to score early? Do I need to wait? This kind of deal, because he knows if the Dodgers have the lead after the 7th inning, there's a really good chance that the game is over. So, hey, Chuck, I'm going to bring you in your video tonight. Do you mind that?
Okay, it's asking me to stop suggesting on the go. So I do yes or no. I'm not sure what that.
I don't know. Just click yes and see how that works.
Okay. How's that?
You good with me bringing in your video tonight?
Oh, sure.
Okay, there we go. We got Chuck Huddleston in the house. Chuck, what's up, man?
Not too much. I'm stoked about Diaz. I'm a little surprised. I guess we should start expecting these things but they're so quiet about everything. You don't find out anything, about what the Dodgers are going to do until they actually do it.
Mm-hmm. They do. And that, that's part of the negotiating tact, is that you don't show your hand until you have to, right? I mean, hey, we don't have to have you. We can move on. We're going to win another World Series without you. Having said that, we'd love to do business with you. They're the master at that.
Yeah, they're smart. And that way they don't start talking to other clubs and undercut their deal, I think. And I know they still got one more move at least to make. I think it'll probably be in the outfield. I'm kind of like maybe wait on Tucker maybe. I like him better than everyone else if we wait, as long as we don't have to give more than 5 years. But I'm getting back into the prospect hugging thing. I'm getting nervous about giving some of those folks away. The Skubal thing, I'm starting to think that doesn't happen until the trade deadline. And they, like you said, they pulled Glasnow's name back. I thought he would be in it. And I mean, if you knew he wouldn't go until free agency, I wouldn't mind waiting and just paying for him and not giving up. You have to give up so much for him. But I don't know. The other hand is when you can get him, you better get him if you can too. So I don't know.
Yeah. I got to think his contract's going to be very, very long, probably so long that I think the Dodgers have a better chance of getting Skubal through prospects when he's getting closer to the end of his contract than they do as far as if he becomes a free agent, and then you took a look at the length of the contract. And so here's kind of where I'm at. This is where I was getting to, and see if you agree with this, Chuck. We'll get into a good conversation about this. I was willing to overpay. I was willing to go 5 years with Edwin Diaz. That would not have bothered me a bit because of the need aspect of it, just the intimidation factor of finally having a surefire closer, whatever. I am not in the category that the Dodgers at all need Tarek Skubal. Would it be cool to have that shiny new toy? Is he one of the greatest pitchers in the game? Absolutely. I mean, would he make the Dodgers marginally better because he is that great? When I say marginally, they're so good to begin with. It's like, okay, well, what's the difference between $3 billion and $4 billion, right? I mean, I'm never going to spend $3 billion, so what's the difference between 3 and 4? I kind of feel that way about the Dodgers, that they're already so good at the starting level in terms of pitching that, yes, he's great, but they're already so great. Why use all your prospect capital for that whenever you need to use it for an outfielder? That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like that way too, except when I think about when you get in, you get Yamamoto shut down, Skubal's shutdown guy. I mean, even, of course, Shohei was tired. I mean, they wore that poor guy out. I mean, it was predictable what would happen to him when he was pitching on short rest. But Glasnow was great, but you just don't know what you get. When you get Skubal and Yamamoto, I mean, it's like basically, those are 2 wins unless something really goes bad. And when you get in the playoffs, I mean, I was always upset throughout all the years that the Dodgers didn't go and get Nolan Ryan. My whole life I said, man, go get that guy. And I watched him pitch for the Angels. I went to the game that he set the record for most 10 strikeout games. And that was incredible. And Bobby Bonds dropped a fly ball that lost him the game later. But I just, you sit there and you kind of, it's kind of like we did last year, right? We could have traded Rushing and, we could have got that type of pitcher last year. I mean,
for Crochet.
Yeah, Crochet. I mean, when I went to Boston, he pitched against us and gave up those 2 home runs early. Then we lost the game the same night that Coach was there. But you just don't; those guys don't come around all the time. And coulda, woulda, shoulda. When you get in that playoff game, and you lose that one game. That could be the difference between a championship. And we're trying to get. The thing is, we're trying to win championships right now.
Yep. And hey, we have a question from Jay. Were you in Santa Maria when Robin Ventura was in high school there?
Yes.
Yeah. So did you? Well, yeah. You're probably a little older than him, correct?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Robin, he went to Oklahoma State, by the way. He had the all-time hitting streak ever in college baseball at OSU. He played with Pete Incavilla. He had 1 crossover year there. And by the way, his daughter just graduated from Oklahoma State, so he was a graduate assistant. So I've gotten the chance to meet, talk to, and become, I wouldn't say friends, but acquaintances with Robin Ventura over the years. But awesome dude there.
He's a good guy. I was here when Ricky Johnson, the running back for Ohio State, was in high school here at Santa Maria.
Yeah.
The Pete Incavilla came and played against the Santa Maria Indians in Summer League.
Yeah.
There in Santa Maria. And he hit a home run to right field, over the sidewalk, over the street, into the packing shed. It was like, oh, my gosh. It was
Pete hit one over the against Grambling in a regional his senior year. Tom Holliday. If you don't believe me, Tom Holliday was the pitching coach, eventually head coach. His son now, Josh Holliday, is the head coach at Oklahoma State. In my interview with Tom, I just wanted to make sure I had my memory correct because I was like, I was 12 or 13 when it happened. I was like, okay, I remember him hitting it over the light standard, and we had a softball field behind the old Alley P. He hit it over the left field fence of the softball tee. I said, I want to make sure that I have my memory correct. He said, yes, it was over the lights. He said he hit it so far that the entire dugout for Grambling actually gave him a standing ovation.
Oh, wow.
That's how far he hit it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been blessed here in Santa Maria. I don't know if you know who Cappy Hirata was, but he worked in the commissioner's office.
I do not.
And so we used to have our hot stove league, and Pete Rose came every year because he was friends with Cappy Hirata.
Wow. Yeah.
So he came, Willie Mays came, Bobby Bonds came, Bryn Smith, of course, local guy, Robin, all these guys. We used to have, 9 or 10 ball players in the little town of Santa Maria for their sports banquet. That was just incredible. And I got a signed baseball from Willie Mays. Al Gianfrido, have you heard of him? I got a signed ball from him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he was an incredible. I mean, just These guys told great stories. It was we were really lucky to, to have that here in Santa Maria. Some good ball players come out of Santa Maria.
Okay, so Tarek Skubal, I'm on a, hey, if he falls in your lap type of deal. I was not that way with Edwin Diaz. I was, hey, go get the guy, do what you have. Not like 10 years or anything, but if you have to overpay, fine. I am not willing to necessarily overpay for Tarek Skubal. I think you need to use all your trade chips. You need to go get the outfielder that you want. Now, when I say the outfielder that you want, I don't mean necessarily just the best player. The best player is Kyle Tucker. It has to fit within your contract structure. Don't be stupid. I mean, I wouldn't be on board for anything, like you said, above 5 years for a Kyle Tucker. But having said that, the best fit and what is the best fit? That could be different for everybody. I'll ask you what you think your best fit is. My best fit, A, how the contract has to work. B, I think the fit needs to be a bat-to-ball guy, a high average guy, a guy that can sit in the 9-hole right in front of Shohei Ohtani and get on base. And then not only get on base, be a base-stealing threat to where the pitcher has to pay attention to them. And when the pitcher has to pay attention to them at first base, that takes away attention from Shohei Ohtani, which will make Ohtani a better hitter. So, first of all, finish up your thoughts on Skubal, the outfield, what I just said there, and the fit part of it.
The need is for the outfield. That's Skubal's like a wish, and that would be, if you can make it happen without giving up too much, then yes. The outfield's a need. I kind of might think about waiting on Tucker, because if you can get him, because it looks like there's only 2 or 3 teams in on Tucker right now in Toronto. And I think Toronto, it may still happen, but why hasn't it happened already? I'm wondering what's going on there. Evidently, the terms aren't right yet. And so, me, I'm also Bo Bichette for second base, because you got a special bat. And I think that, I'm thinking if you wait around and, it's one thing, I heard someone say the other day, the Dodgers, they just wait around the backboard, and get rebounds. But you know what? The Dodgers take 3-point shots when it's open too. And,
they do.
And so
they're complete.
Yeah. And so I think the outfield is the most urgent need. We have to figure out, I mean, we got Fitz at second base, but Bo Bichette, if we could get his bat cheaply, I would want to go there. Second base 1 year, then we move our Korean kid in the next year. I still think he needs a little bit of. He may still need a little bit of tinkering with his swing and everything down in AAA without the pressure.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And so I like.
But see, I don't think there is pressure in the Dodgers regular season, because I just don't even think they give a crap about the regular season. Now, you have to give a crap about it enough to make the playoffs. But what we saw they were a wild card team last year. Didn't affect them a bit. So I just think the Dodgers see the regular season as a moneymaker and as practice.
Well, I think that maybe Pacific Rim players may have added pressure from overseas.
I would agree.
That concerns me for him. And I'm back on Diaz. Honestly, I've been thinking I wish we'd went maybe 4 or 5, and I went, in 3 years, and what if he's killing it? I mean, I guess we could sign him, but I'm thinking, maybe we should have went 4 or 5 with him, because I've been trying to unload. I haven't been able to download the Tommy Trumpet thing for my ringtone, but I haven't been able to figure that one out yet. But I got to have that for, I'm excited about. That's going to be fun. I didn't even realize that went on, but I've been at Dodger Stadium time when Gagne used to come in. It was lit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited. I just absolutely cannot wait to see all that unfold. The Dodgers are, again, putting their best foot forward. So, hey, final thoughts here for you, Chuck.
If we had Diaz last year, we had 100 wins, and we wouldn't have had to play in that playoff, and we'd have home field advantage. So I think we need to put more emphasis on winning before we get the home field advantage all the way through, and not play in that short series. We don't need that kind of pressure. And so that's what I'm thinking. I'm excited. I've been 4 or 5 times a day checking to see if anything's happened, but it's kind of slowed down. But appreciate all you do. Looking forward. I kind of snuck around on a couple of other shows because I needed a baseball fix when you were out. But it's kind of interesting what people have to say, and they're not as in tune with it as you are, most of them. But
well, I appreciate you saying that, Chuck. Thank you so much for joining.
And Merry Christmas. I'm going to be in Texas starting on Wednesday, so I won't be too far from you. So.
Yep. Hey, we also have a question from Jay. Your prediction on Mookie's season. Rebound?
Yes, I think so. I think he's going to do everything he can. And the other thing is, I've heard 2 different players say that T.O.'s down 20 pounds and he's working his butt off. He wants to come back and show people.
Good.
he's already 20 pounds lighter than he said. He wants to show him that, on defense, what he can do. So,
well, hey, constructive criticism, there's sometimes even just straight up criticism. If you can't handle it, then, sometimes it's good for you. Sometimes you need to hear it. So hopefully.
Well, that's got to hurt his ego too, when people do that. So, these guys have some pride. They want to,
Absolutely. 100%. And that's why it doesn't need to, as a coach or a fan or whatever, it doesn't always need to be, hey, he's great. Sometimes you need to tell him, hey, you got to get better at this. Sorry. That kind of deal.
One last thing before I go. On the comments, you got some smart guys out there too. I love, we kind of after the show talking, you jump in, but these guys, like the question we just got, these guys, you got a smart crowd following you.
Good stuff. It's good stuff. We try to eliminate the fluff. It stays smaller. We know that our crowd stays smaller. Our shows stay smaller. We understand that, but we're willing to make that trade to stay smaller to make sure it stays what we think is elite as in terms of conversation. So I'm glad that you noticed that. We take pride in that, Chuck.
Yeah, I know you do. So, well, Merry Christmas.
You too, my man. We'll see you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, man, see ya. All right, Chuck Huddleston there. And hey, I just put the link in there. Would love to have whoever wants to come in on the show talk. I know Show was talking about audio only, video. I brought in Chuck's video because I've talked to Chuck before and I know he wouldn't have a problem with that. But no, you would not have to have a camera. You wouldn't have to have any of that. Just dial in on your phone, click that link on your phone, and we can do audio and we can absolutely have at it. So here's kind of the conversation we were having there about, the Dodgers. Yes, they did win the World Series last year. Yes, they have won the last two. Yes, they have done it both times with a starting pitcher getting the last 3 outs. But that doesn't mean that that's what they want or that's what they want. It means they got away with it. So what I'm trying to say there, just just because you won doesn't mean you don't need to do what you need to do to take the next level to actually get better. So my grandpa, my dad, I would always tell my coaches, hey, you never stay the same, right? You're either getting better or you're getting worse. And so even if you are staying the same, the people around you are getting better or worse. So having said that, if the Dodgers sit still, the people around them are going to get better. And so just by that byproduct, they are going to get worse. So just to say, hey, the Dodgers, they got by, they won the last two, they don't need. Well, I would disagree. I think the Dodgers have to continue to continue to keep getting better. They have to continue finding their holes, what they might think their holes are, what their weaknesses are, what are the cracks that might keep you from winning the World Series next year. Because let's not forget, man, just go back to the Phillies game. I was watching that Phillies game. And just some of the crazy plays in that game, the wheel play and some of the crazy stuff it took to beat Philadelphia. I know that the end of the series didn't look like it because of the overall advantage the Dodgers had. But if you go back to the competitive elements of it, I mean, it was damn hard to win that World Series. If you replayed that postseason 10 times, the Dodgers might win 3, probably, just the way it happened. I'm not saying they weren't the better team. I'm just saying if you replay the play by Miguel Rojas, if you replay the play by Andy Pages, you remember the play by Edmund where he went out in right center and made a perfect throw to third base, the relay from Teo Hernandez, a home run from Miguel Rojas. I mean, the wheel play against the Phillies, if you replay all this stuff in the game of baseball, it's not going to come out in your favor more than 50% of the time, probably. And so why do I say that? I say that only to say the Dodgers have to continue to keep getting better. And I do think one of the glaring holes was Michael Conforto last year. Not to dump on him necessarily. We're not going to talk about him specifically. I did say his name. I probably shouldn't have. Let's just say the left field position. And, Austin and I got into, Friedman says that you need a little bit of good fortune to win the World Series, even if you are the best team. Trust me. Even if you have a lot better players than the other team. To win a world championship, you got to have things fall your way. Things didn't fall the Dodgers' way the previous 3 years before they won it, right? I mean, it might not go their way this year, but the last 2 years it has. So the left field deal, Teo, the thing about it, Austin and I got in this conversation, and I kind of threw a just kind of out in left field idea. Well, why not trade for 2 outfielders and get rid of Teo? Well, I think where it gets kind of confusing is you say, well, then the Dodgers would have to trade away so many prospects. And Chuck just mentioned this, the prospect hugging aspect of it. And I am probably the opposite of a prospect hugger. I'm probably the biggest advocate of trading these guys if you have the ability to help your major league club, because I think it's a win-win on both sides. Your major league club gets the major league piece they need to win a World Series. That right now they get the instant gratification, whereas then also the prospects that are traded get a better runway to the major league. So I think where the conversation gets a little bit murky, if I were to say, hey, let's go get a center fielder and a left fielder. Let's go get Jarren Duran and Stephen Kwan, where people, I think, fall off that cliff is where they go, well, damn, you're going to be giving up so many prospects to do that I say the cliff on purpose, that eventually you're going to fall off that cliff because your roster on your major league club is going to age out, as far as they're already the oldest major league roster in the game to begin with. And so you're going to age out, and then after it's going to be a double whammy, because so how you fall off a cliff is your major league roster ages out, your contracts age out, and then you don't have the minor league system in place to replenish that major league club. Now you say, well, the Dodgers can't replenish with minor leaguers because you can't go from Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and Will Smith, Teo Hernandez, Max Muncy, and this incredible pitching staff the Dodgers have. You can't go from that to, okay, well, they all aged out, and then all of a sudden we have 26 rookies on the team. That's not what I mean. What I mean is the way that you replenish your major league roster and keep it at a World Series caliber type team is you keep flexibility in your roster to where you can just add here, add there, add here, add there. So you keep it staggered enough to where every year, while this guy times out, we're replacing him with that guy. Sometimes that guy is a rookie like Andy Pages. Most likely, though, you're going to sign another guy in free agency, or you're going to use your minor league system to trade for that guy. So what the Dodgers have done for this World Series, for this offseason, which is what's so incredible about what Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes, and these guys have done, okay, is that they have financially put themselves in a position to where they can go sign Edwin Diaz as a free agent. They have the flexibility to sign him to 3 years. I don't want to freak anybody out. They have the flexibility to sign Diaz to the 3-year contract, which is it's the largest monetary contract in the history of a reliever. So they put themselves in a position to go sign a free agent from a monetary perspective, and they're also in position to go trade for an outfielder while using their prospects. They haven't put themselves in hey, it's one or the other. So the argument like Austin makes, which is a great argument, if you just dump all your prospects, you're putting yourselves in a basket of, well, it's just one or the other. You don't have the ability to trade, so everything you have to do is through free agency. And if you ever get in a situation to where everything you do is in free agency, what's going to happen is in free agency, you're going to be forced to sign contracts that are too long a term to allow the organization to have flexibility. And so you're going to have a short window to win, and then after that short window, you're going to fall off a cliff. That is the game for the Dodgers. And so I give all of that context to circle that conversation back to, well, then why in the hell are you telling me that the Dodgers, in your opinion, should trade for 2 outfielders? Okay? Because then you're setting yourselves up to fall off that cliff because you're giving up all of your best prospects. You're dumping too much of your farm, and now you're making it to where your future moves have to come in free agency because you don't have any prospect chips to replace the oldest roster in baseball in a year or two. Okay? Here is where that conversation is going sideways. What you're also forgetting is that if you trade for 2 outfielders, that guarantees the fact that you're going to trade Teo Hernandez, and you're going to use that trade for Teo Hernandez to replenish what hurt so much about the prospects that you lost. So here's where it makes sense. The Dodgers have 10 or so outfielders that if everything goes the way they should, and Austin is correct to say, hey, you never can tell which one of these guys are actually going to work out. Percentages are actually very low that any of these guys become major leaguers. That's just how hard it is, how difficult it is to actually become a major leaguer. Certainly a good major leaguer, right? Percentages are low, I get it. But having said that, if everything goes the way that it should, in my opinion, the Dodgers have about 10 outfielders in the minor leagues right now that should all become major leaguers, and probably pretty good major leaguers. That's my opinion. You can disagree with that, but I have seen these guys play every day. I've seen Zach Earhart play since he was a freshman in college, okay? I've seen James Tibbs at Florida State play forever. Saw him play all the games last year at Tulsa. I've been seeing Josue DePaula, and anyways, that's just my opinion. So here's where trading Teo makes, if you want to make that argument, this is where it makes the most amount of sense, is that A, you get better defensively. Okay, that's number one, is you're going to get better substantially because you're going to have a different center fielder. So you're going to have a center fielder that's better defensively than Andy Pages in center. You're going to bump Andy Pages to right field. Andy Pages is going to be a hell of a lot better than Teo Hernandez in right field. And Steven Kwan is going to be better than Teo Hernandez would have been in left field. So you're going to substantially upgrade your outfield. And if you can go get maybe even, instead of Jarren Duran, a Byron Buxton, replace some of that power, now you've gotten way better defensively, and you haven't really sacrificed too much on the offensive side, okay? That's the on-the-field argument. But the logistical argument of it is, if you trade for 2 outfielders and you give up, say, 4 to 5 of these outfielders because you have too many of them, you have a glut about, eventually, if you don't get rid of some of these outfielders, they're going to time out, and it's going to be an inefficient way of using major league caliber talents, okay? They're going to age out. And so if you trade half of these guys for 2 incredibly good outfielders to make your team substantially better on the field, then you can use Teo Hernandez to trade to replace for prospects in your system in areas that you're weak. A catcher, okay? So one of the things that we've been saying all offseason is, why is one big reason why you can't trade Dalton Rushing? Why does he need to be your back? Because you don't have a major league caliber, not even close. I love GLP. I love Griffin Lockwood Powell, okay? I love Jainer Fernandez. I love Gio Cueto and all these guys, okay? I'm going to stop right there because I'm going to forget Nelson Quiros. I love Nelson Quiros. The guy hits, okay? Not a major league catcher, period. End of discussion. Nowhere close. They would be the first ones to tell you that. None of them were even in AAA last year. So beyond Dalton Rushing, you don't have a major league caliber catcher ready and waiting behind him, okay? So right now you're stuck with Dalton Rushing being your backup just simply because you don't have anybody else. And when I say stuck, what I mean is, man, you'd like to trade him for major league something, this or that, maybe be part of the outfield deal to maximize his value instead of just making him a backup, right? Maybe that's a more efficient way of using him, right? So maybe you trade Teo Hernandez, and so now by the time you go trade for 2, add 2, subtract one, now it's a total of 1. You've gained 1. Okay, so you're going to be gaining 1 outfielder. You're going to be trading for 2, losing 1. That's a gain of 1. So now you can trade Teo Hernandez and get back maybe some high level prospect catchers, right? So now what you've done in your minor league system is you've balanced it out. So instead of having 10 major league caliber outfielders that all never have a shot at the major league level and you have no idea what to do with all of them, now you have 4 or 5 of them. Now you add a couple of catchers, maybe another right-handed pitcher, maybe another shortstop, maybe or a third baseman. I probably wouldn't say shortstop. You have Noah Miller, Sean McClain. You got Joendry Vargas and Elijah Hainline and guys like that at the lower levels. But go get a third baseman. Go get a first baseman, something like that. Now you've actually added back to your minor league system in areas that you're deficient, which would be catcher, third base, areas like that. So that's kind of what that's why now I think Teo sees that writing on the wall. Here's kind of the full circle, and Chuck mentioned that he's lost weight and he's done this and he's done that. And by the way, the young man that he mentored this last season, Andy Paez, that's exactly what he did, right? So let me actually get this, see if I can get the link here, invite. I don't think I can. It's not allowing me to give the link here, so I don't know why it's not giving, and it's not oh, here it is, right? Well, I don't know. Okay, so it's kind of interesting that I've actually put the link. Let me. This is going to be a little bit clunky. Just give me a second here. I want to put this link back in here because if you would like to come in and join the show, it will be audio only. Chuck was video because Chuck has been on here. Chuck does such a wonderful job. He's been on here many different times, and I knew he wouldn't have a problem with it, and he has a good camera. But you do not need a camera. You just need your phone or your tablet or your computer. Click that link and come on in, and let's absolutely talk about this. Interesting that, Chuck mentioned that Teo's lost some weight, and, hey, that's exactly what the young man he mentored, Andy Paez, did. Andy Paez was a right fielder. He lost 25 pounds, came back thin. He's kept the weight off, and now he has a lot more range. Sounds like what Teo's doing. And so that kind of puts a wrinkle into it. Hey, if Teo Hernandez is willing to lose weight and dedicate, and here's the first thing, okay? And this is why you have to call it the way it is. This is why the best players, the toughest minded, the most motivated players, they demand you to tell them like it is. The best players I've ever coached, the only times they ever got mad at me is when they feel like that I wasn't being as brutally honest with them as they needed. Like, hey, dude, this is what you need to be doing. This is what you're not doing. This is what you need to do moving forward. So the best players actually want to hear what they have to do, okay? They seek that information, or at the very least, they can accept it. So if I sit here and say Teo Hernandez is not a good outfielder and that pisses Teo Hernandez off, sorry, dude. I don't know what to tell you. This is exactly what it is. I am a fan of the Los Angeles Dodgers, okay? This is not a organization that is playing around right now. They are going for all of it. So if you want to be a part of this and you have a massive weakness like you have, which is your defense, either fix it or go play for somebody else. Now, that's a little bit too rude to put. That's not how you would put it to the player. Don't get me wrong. But if you put a truth serum in the conversation, that's exactly what it means is, hey, we have the ability to go out and get and fix these issues. If you want to fix it for yourself, great. But here's what we're telling you the issues are. Here's what we can't deal with in the future. We can't deal with subpar range. We can't deal with a half-ass attitude towards defense. We have to have a renewed commitment to you committing to becoming a very good defender. We have to have a renewed commitment by you, a serious commitment that you are going to make yourself to where you can be the best player that you possibly can be in terms of the range of going and getting baseballs, and be a defender that doesn't detract from your offense. Now, if you want to commit to that, we'd love to have you. We love your mentality. We love your loosey-goosey. We love your mentorship with Andy. We love the way that you fit in perfectly with the culture. We love your home runs. We love your clutch nature. We love all of that, okay? But here's what we don't love, okay? We don't love your defense. We don't love sometimes the commitment to your defense. That's my opinion. And I'll tell you another thing this organization loves. They love winning. Hey, I talk all the time about the culture, and we'll get into the Edwin Diaz thing here. And yes, you have to be a great person before you're a great baseball player. That goes all the way down to the complex. That is a fact. If you are not a person that this organization doesn't want to be around for 6 months, if you're an asshole, if you're negative, if you pout, if you're selfish, if you're any of that, you will not be in this organization, no matter how good you are. End of discussion, okay? Yes, that all is part of the culture. But when I say culture, you want to really know what that term means, okay? Culture actually means they expect you to win. The culture is winning. That's what the Dodgers culture, that's what defines the Dodgers culture. We win. If you're not competitive and if you don't have a drive to win, you will not be a part of this organization. So, Teo, here's what we're telling you. We love you, but we love winning more. So here's the deal. We like all this, but we got to get all this fixed. Now go do it, and we'd love to have you. That's kind of where I am at with Teo. Now, that may be a little bit too harsh. You may kind of think that I'm being a little bit too much of an asshole there. That's fine. I don't personally think I am because, again, I'm going to say this. I love Teo, but I love the Dodgers more. I love the Dodgers. I love winning, right? And so what am I really loyal to? I am loyal to the Dodgers, and I am loyal to them doing whatever they have to do to win. And the beautiful thing about this front office is that's what they do at every single move, whether it be play Justin Dean and then play Andy Pages instead of Justin Dean on the margins, or whether that means go and get Edwin Diaz. So another thing about Edwin Diaz, and I had up close and personal viewpoint of this, is that Alexis Diaz was with Oklahoma City, and I never got to interview Alexis Diaz because we don't have an interpreter there, and his English was not good. But I can tell you, Alexis Diaz was an awesome human being. Absolutely awesome. I love Alexis Diaz. I rooted for him to no end. He was always hello, yes, sir, and whatever words he could use. He always came out of his way to say hi. He always had a smile on his face. He was always joking around. He was very Teo Hernandez-ish. He was an incredible, incredible young man, okay? Love it. Now, he had some time with L.A., okay? Now, don't get me wrong. The Dodgers signed Alexis Diaz because he had been incredible with the Reds as recently as, I think, 2023. That's why they got Alexis Diaz. They were like, you know what? Let's take a flyer on this guy. Let's see if we can fix him. And if we do, bingo, we got our man. That's why they took Alexis Diaz. So let's not make it more than that, okay? Let's not get too conspiratorial about Alexis Diaz. But it didn't, once they got him in the organization, it didn't hurt that they loved the guy. It didn't hurt that he was an incredible locker room guy. It didn't hurt that he had an incredible attitude, incredible work ethic, and that they just rooted like hell for Alexis Diaz because they loved the guy, okay? But again, I'm going to say it again. You love Alexis Diaz, but you know what you love more? Winning, okay? You got to be loyal to winning. Got to be loyal to the fans above the players. End of discussion, okay? So Alexis Diaz didn't work out to the extent of him being any kind of significant factor moving forward in this dynasty run for the Dodgers. But I can tell you they loved Alexis Diaz and they treated him with respect. They treated him with love. They treated him Alexis Diaz left the Dodgers feeling like, you know what, they gave me every chance they could. They showed me love. They showed me great coaching. They showed me a tremendous culture. They gave me the best opportunity I possibly could have. And you know what? Alexis Diaz, I had just an incredible experience with the Dodgers, okay? That's how he left this organization. So when Edwin Diaz, the brother of Alexis Diaz, now wants to sign for the Dodgers, it is no secret that he was going to listen to his brother. What is he getting into? And that, I promise you, when Alexis had not good remarks, but glowing remarks about the incredibleness of the Dodgers organization, that played a gigantic, not a small factor, a gigantic factor in Edwin Diaz making his mind up. You know what? Screw this toxic New York Mets culture. I'm going to the Dodgers. That's another reason why the behind-the-scenes aspects of what I got to see with Alexis Diaz, I had pretty strong feelings that the Dodgers were going to get very aggressive with Edwin Diaz, because the Dodgers definitely will oversign, but only for the right guys. And Edwin Diaz, because they know Alexis Diaz, because they know the type of person Edwin is, he's the right guy. It's a slam dunk. So the Alexis Diaz piece of that, yes, the Dodgers did go get him because he had been great with the Reds. No doubt about it. But I promise you that's a stone. The Dodgers, they were playing 4D chess even at that time, knowing that Edwin Diaz, his brother, was going to be a free agent in the upcoming future. And the Dodgers went and struck and did a great job in going and getting him. So I hope you don't think I'm too hard on Teo there. I hope you don't think I'm too conspiratorial of Edwin Diaz, but those are kind of the behind-the-scenes parts of it that I see there. I'm fine. Hey, if Teo, and so here's my final thoughts on the outfield situation, okay? Hey, Albanura, coach being honest like Greinke when asked how to improve the team. Hey, I don't hate Lux, but that is a fact that he is not a three-peat roster level. Again, I love Gavin Lux. I love winning, okay? I love Oklahoma State, okay? And I love my beautiful bride of 26 years, but I do not want her to be the head football coach at Oklahoma State, right? You know why? Because I love winning, and that's no slight to her, because I think she probably could figure out how to be great at it, but that's just to say I love winning, right? So that's exactly kind of where we're at right here. So here is where I would finish my conversation with the outfielders. If Teo's willing to say, hey, I know what I do well. We're going to try to continue to do that. I'm going to become a slightly above average defender. Okay? Great. Put him in left field or put him in right field. Put Andy in center and put an excellent defender in left field. I have no problems with that. If that actually is the case, wonderful. If that is not the case and we get to this point, Teo's defense, I am all in for trading for two different outfielders, a center fielder and a left fielder. Trade Teo Hernandez for prospects in your organization at areas and positions that you're weak at right now. And so then you're removing your glut of outfielders, cutting that in half, adding some prospects to positions in which you are a lot thinner. So, hey, Bonda, more upgrade player. Why can't Ward play left field or right field? He absolutely can. If you watched the interview the other day, Ryan Ward says he's more comfortable in left field. I just don't see the Dodgers turning left field over to him. I think he is insurance for the Dodgers. If they don't go find a left fielder, another outfielder, I think then he gets some runway. I think if they do go find an outfielder via trade, then I think at that point he becomes trade bait. That's where I'm at. Now, if you listen to Ryan, he's very proud of himself. His goal, he's been with the Dodgers for 6 years, become a major leaguer with the Dodgers. So I say that if he was listening to this, that probably would piss him off if he heard me say that, but that's just my opinion there. Hey, no good speed or no good defense and no slugger player Lux. Teo is a special player on the offensive end of the game. No need to trade him. He should be allowed to play the remaining 2 years of his contract. Hey, Stephanie Richter, guess who wants to be an outfield defensive coach? Kevin Kiermaier. Dodgers should hire him. Yeah, I loved old KK. He was really, really good. Lux had the highest batting average of the Reds for most of the season. And remember, the second half of the season, he was fantastic for the Dodgers. And remember the big sac fly he got in the World Series. So no hate whatsoever for Gavin Lux. Tark the Shark, what is the right-handed clutch bat power hitter we are going to replace Teo with? I think it's going to be a balanced type situation. If you went and got Buxton, I think that would go a long way for that. But the fact that you're adding defense and you're adding different styles of offense would more than make up for the lack of maybe some of the power that you would be missing. And so that's kind of where I would be looking at it. And then I also think Mookie Betts is going to have a better year this year. I think Andy Pages would probably have a more consistent year if he played right field. And so it would be more of a, hey, just kind of spreading out between, spreading out all the different margins, the margins being better defense and then better on base, better bat to ball, better distractions in front of Ohtani if you have a guy at first base that can steal bases, that kind of deal. Hey, there seems to be a catcher shortage league-wide. Yeah, catching is a very difficult position. Hey, Boston wants pitchers and catchers. J.O. says lots of starting depth, too. Projected OKC rotation, River Ryan, Gavin Stone, Justin Robleski, Kyle Hurt, Landon Knack. So, yeah, I mean, that's not efficient to have those guys in Oklahoma City. It would be more efficient to go get a major league piece right now and to win, to better position yourself for the World Series next year. GT Kaneshiro, they can get Jarren Duran for prospects, only a couple of pitchers. Yep, I'm there. I'm on that bandwagon. Steven Richter, we can trade to get Big Ben back from the Reds. Hey, yeah, what a wonderful crowd we have had logged in tonight on Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. V-Track, the Teo trade talk was meant to be a wake-up call for him. I totally agree. Pull your head out of your you-know-what. That pop sound like, you know what that is? That's you're pulling your head out, right? He will field better next year and hit better to prove everybody wrong. I totally agree. Steven Richter, we traded Lux in 2025, and that created a hole in the lineup. Trading Teo will be the same bad move. Yes, there's risk to it, and the best case scenario, I think I would totally agree, is if Teo does start playing better defense, loses some weight, becomes at least a league average defender, and continues to play the type of offense that he has in the past. I think that's best case scenario. Hey, V-Track, Toronto won't make it to the World Series next year. They played way above. I agree. They had several different people that had like career years to get where they had. Friedman, after the Diaz signing, said, we felt pretty good about something lining up, but we have to be a little patient. Wonder what he was talking about. I think it's an outfielder. I think he's talking about signing another bat. I think that's where we're headed here. V-Track, Dodgers are at the max already for long-term position players, no doubt. Need the ability to address poor performances. That comes through the trade market because you get the shorter-term contracts. That's kind of what I'm saying. You need to be able to have the flexibility to sign an Edwin Diaz or a longer-term contract, but then at the same time, you need to be able to use the trade market so not all of your new signings are for the longer-term contracts. You got to have both sides of that. Yes, Chuck did a wonderful, wonderful job coming in and talking some Dodgers baseball tonight. I'm a mix of where you're at and where Chuck is at on the prospect hugging. They definitely need to trade one or two of DePaula, Hope, Sirota, and Quintero. It'll be interesting to see how well the bazooka was fixed. There's another one, Bruised-Dar Gratterall. What's he going to look like? And V-Track, prospects are worthless if you don't play them or trade them. That's 100% correct. And they time out 100%. If the Phillies had Wheeler healthy, it might have changed things, but that is baseball. Every World Series winning team has luck, and nobody's had worse luck with pitching health than the Dodgers. I guess more easy three-peat than this year. Repeat? Let's hope. It's never easy. And, yeah, you got to continue to get better. Ilashiba, we seem to need a little bit more help in the bullpen. Great to get Diaz, which is huge. Yeah, and that takes us back to where we were already at. Ilashiba, again, sounds like Andrew Friedman has real plans to sign Kike in 2026 mid-season, or maybe after you put all the guys on the 60-day IL and you cleared up from some 40-man roster space, maybe then too. But like I said, there's no hurry. Every at-bat that Kike Hernandez takes in the regular season is a wasted at-bat that Dalton Rushing could have had. It's a wasted at-bat that Ha-Seong Kim could have. It's a wasted at-bat that Alex Freeland could have, or whoever it may be, because Kike doesn't need the regular season at-bats. He would be with the Dodgers for one reason and one reason only, and that is to be a hired assassin for the postseason. Al Minerva, the Blue Jays poached Dodgers hitting coach David Popkins. Their success, Brett Pill also was plucked to a hitting coach that was working with some of the minor leaguers. Their success was no accident. Disagree about Toronto doesn't return, especially if they keep signing elite players. Yep. And the good thing about that is it's going to play out on the field. So what we say about that at this point is just an opinion. And opinions are like armpits. Everybody's got them, and sometimes they all stink, right? Okay. Ela Shiva says, I believe the Giants will be more competitive this season. I hope not. Actually, I do. I kind of enjoy it, and strike me down, but I like it when the Dodgers are at least good enough to make the series with them fun. Like this year, they were just good enough there in July to where when you went to San Francisco and you won the 2 out of 3, that was really fun. If they just sucked, it's not as fun for me. But that's just me. You may want them to suck into oblivion every year, but I like it, the rivalry better when at least they are competitive enough to where they catch my attention, and it makes it feel a little bit better when you actually do beat them. Steven Richter, Bader is a right-hand bat, and the Dodgers need a left-handed bat in left field. I would agree. This trade Teo talk is dumb. Teo hit more clutch than Mookie and Freeman in the postseason. Yeah, we're not talking about the offensive side. We're talking about the defensive side of things. Hey, 6 years is too long to get to the majors. And also going back to the Teo talk, I think the big point is that the Dodgers, I think it's a way for the Dodgers to get a message to him, hey, either get this cleaned up or we're going to get it cleaned up through the way the roster is set up. And I think that's a challenge that Teo has taken on, it sounds like, and that's only going to make everybody better. So from that aspect, it's anything but dumb about talking about that, because like Chuck is saying here, steel sharpens steel, no doubt about that. V-Track, the West needs to be sharp enough to keep the Dodgers focused. That's where I'm at. You just said that exactly how I felt right there. They need to be just good enough to keep the Dodgers focused to where they can't just drift around and just kind of wander around and win games mindlessly, right? Okay, so that's going to do it for me on Sunday night in the Big Town. We've been going for a while, and this has been a lot of fun. Thanks to Chuck for checking in. Lots of fun talking about the hot stove. Absolutely love it. Austin Brubaker will be back tomorrow night with his show. Tomorrow we're going to release our interview with Peyton Martin. I've got an interview with a prospect coming up for about every day for about the next 2 weeks. Probably not on Christmas, but I've got plenty of them lined up. So make sure and keep checking out the prospect interviews. I love it when those get lots of views. Hope you enjoyed our Patrick Copen interview on Friday. If you haven't checked that out, check that out, our Ryan Ward interview. So check those out if you haven't. Tomorrow will be Peyton Martin. So check out that interview. I'll release that about 10 o'clock Pacific. So until then, you Dodgers dogs are the absolute best. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, it's a great day to be a Dodger.